During my sophomore year of high school, I experienced a period of feeling really lost about myself. I definitely felt like I wasn't myself. So when my brother and I received a VR headset for Christmas, I was so excited to explore and pretend to be whatever I wanted to be. I ended up basically hogging that VR headset for months, but the reason why happened within the first week or two that I had begun to use it. My name? It's Liam. I'm a trans guy because of the freedom of VR chat. One of the most popular platforms on VR is VRChat, a free social game where you can endlessly explore and create spaces to meet new people. As with real life, it offers a wide variety of opportunities to learn, interact, relax, and play, just in the aspects of being online rather than in person. It's kind of like being on a social media app like Discord, but instead of talking to someone over a text or call, you create an avatar and you talk to them through that avatar, creating the illusion like you're sitting in front of them. This video's topic will be on identities, how they're expressed, how they impact, and how they challenge trans people within VR. For this research project, I interviewed a couple of people online who identified as trans in some way, as well as a trans friend of mine.
Hi, my name is Star.
Other than my friend Star, everyone else will remain anonymous. As humans, we often present ourselves socially by conveying interests, ideas, and identities. We make connections with others through expression, visuals, audio, and behavior. And so, platforms like VRChat developed a new kind of online communication, adding verbal and nonverbal interactions to the online. Users portray their identities in many ways, but two key factors stand out from the rest: avatars and voice. As I've said, there are other ways like making a bio or joining VR chat groups, but when it comes to the physical self and what determines gender first, it's those two factors.
How it has helped me with my gender identity is just to be able to experiment with different types of body shapes, body types, breasts, no breasts, and bigger hips or smaller hips. Just different types of clothing in general, different types of aesthetics in general. More feminine, more masculine. I've gone through all the ranges from ultra masculine to ultra feminine. I eventually landed more on the feminine side, but usually I do flip-flop between mildly masculine to quite feminine. That's my range. It was that versatility, that abundance of avatars. It really helped me express myself, especially when I have like full really immerse myself in this virtual reality.
With like my avatar and stuff, that's definitely a thing that I play around with, see what I like. Sometimes it can be something very simple. It can be just like adding a trans icon on my avatar. It can be picking an avatar that just during that day I feel like that it suits me better. It more aligns with my how I want to express myself that day. So there is a lot to unpack, but it is a really good tool, as I said before.
Avatars, a visual representation of someone in VR, is how people express identity and are similar to the digital icons or figures you present as in online games. You can become your favorite character from a video game or be a rat in a trench coat. It's up to you. On some social VR platforms, you have the ability to embody a wide range of custom or pre-existing avatars, either to represent yourself as you are offline or present as something completely different. Based on reviews, one of the leading reasons why people choose to play social games like VR Chat is for the ability to create avatars. Most people pick from the vast library of avatars that other people have created, but some make their avatars for themselves and others. You can make one too if you want to sit in Blender for a couple of years, rigging, shaping the model, then trying to make it Quest compatible, and then watch as the entire save file crashes. Since avatars play the biggest role in VR socializing, People often choose to embody avatars that resemble themselves when they are offline, or groups they identify with. The most common groups being race, age, gender, cultural identity. One of these groups is gender, a social construct often linked to how individuals interact and bond with each other in any situation. In the real world, the symbols are very defined for how people act, portray, and even think about gender in social situations. For example, wearing a dress means you're a girl, or short hair means a guy. This generational concept is like when you hear the pitch of someone's voice and associate it with a specific gender based on whether it is high or low. Social VR twists a lot of these concepts and normalizes more exploration of the self, while also keeping aspects of socializing and social impact at the center. VRChat has been able to create an environment for comfortable exploration heightened by its gaming anonymity. People are able to create their online personas with no connections to other social media accounts they may have. The second way that people identify others in VR is auditorily, aka a person's voice. Not everyone uses their voice in VR chat, as some people are mute, deaf, or have no microphone. However, it is mode that most people use to determine your gender, age, and the characteristics of a person. An example of this is when most people host 18+ worlds, only permitting people who recite their date of birth verbally to the host and sound old enough. A lot of trans people use VRChat and social VR to help them train and validate their voices. VRChat gives them more opportunities to practice a voice with others and gain insight on how they'd be perceived. However, for some trans people, a voice can easily break an experience as easily as it can make a positive one. Gender dysphoria, the concept of feeling unsatisfied or uneased by one's gender, is very common in trans folk. It's how many of us trans people realized how uncomfortable it is to be in the wrong body or hear the wrong pronouns. Avatars can alleviate body dysphoria, but there isn't anything on VRChat itself to change your voice. One's voice can easily influence those negative feelings, since your gender can be perceived by a voice's pitch.
In VR, it was definitely the voice, because I had troubles with my voice a lot. I hated my voice so much in the past that, like, as I said, I started learning ASL because I just did not want to talk at all.
Some trans users of VR use other modes of communication because voice is so impactful. Others feel like they need to conform to the people around them because misgendering occurs when people start to talk. Some of my own friends choose to modify their experience with voice changers to try and avoid being misgendered and harassed, but VRChat has decided to block as much as they can and destroy a lot of the things that people need to enjoy themselves. The VRChat platform has become a very diverse and open place for many queer people to socialize and flourish. But just like in real life, there will be social challenges. Hate does not exclude anyone or focus on one form of communication.
I feel like, just like how people don't know who I am so I can be more open, you can never know who a troll is. So they can come, they can make me, just like how anyone here can impact me and make me feel good, they can come here and make me feel equally as bad.
Most people who fit into the category to spread hate, harass, and negatively joke around are often known as trolls. These people usually have only been in the game for a couple of hours or even just a couple minutes, and that means that there are people constantly coming in who don't necessarily understand or are knowledgeable of social VR culture. This is one of the ways that social constructs from the offline world seep in, making the environment unpleasant for many. With so many queer and trans users jumping onto the platform, there's often disgust in many reviews and negative associations to VR that it will turn you gay or turn you trans. In a study about how non-cisgender users use social VR to benefit ways they present, sound, and find community, many participants expressed that the space is still so cis-normative and less supportive of those exploring gender. It is often that users, especially trans users in VRChat, experience being called slurs and are harassed. VRChat's free and accessible model, where anyone with a good PC or Oculus can join, has shown to be a good concept and a bad concept. Paired with anonymity, it can spell out for a disaster. And it's not just trans or queer people who are hated on. In reviews, it can be noted that people of color, women, and children are often discriminated against as well. For trans people, some may feel like they need to conform due to the pressure and fear of being harassed.
So there are trolls and stuff, and there are people who genuinely just want to hurt you, no matter your intentions. They just log on and they just want to have some quote-unquote fun, whereas they might be ruining someone's day or week.
Social VR platforms have been increasingly important in connection to how they foster ideas to explore, experiment, and express identity for queer people. Queer users have determined it a place to develop community, develop personal freedom as themselves, and outside VR, people like me are unable to find spaces that are trans-focused, welcoming, and places just to exist without judgment. VRChat has played a huge part when it comes to finding and developing community, especially in places where trans people aren't very welcomed.
VR definitely helped a lot, and it just there's so much expressiveness that you can have in VR that is just like untangible in real life without some major things that are either like permanent or just not really possible in the situation that you might be in when you need those answers the most.
For many, social VR's supporting features about identity have helped users to experience themselves in a new way, as well as help them discover something new about themselves. Using platforms like VRChat have helped people explore identity and presentation in social settings in ways that society offline doesn't give space for.
I would say it has helped me a lot in dealing with terms of my gender identity and especially gender dysphoria. It's especially because of the country that I live in really does not appreciate and or acknowledge the existence of trans people.
Makes it where like you can feel more free to be yourself and be able to express yourself and express like who you are, like your core person, like who you are as a person on here.
Beyond VRChat, virtual reality and its counterpart, augmented reality, have been able to help trans people when it comes to awareness, community, learning, and support. Mixed together, it's called XR, or extended reality. It has enabled people to explore more freely and privately, to play with different clothing, or to provide trans-related experiences to cisgender people to develop an understanding of transness. XR, VR, provides unique opportunities for trans support and awareness, helping others think about identity in new ways. When it came to researching this concept, how queer and trans people express, are challenged, and benefit from social VR, I realized that many of these studies focus primarily on cisgender users and very few non-cisgender users, as well as a limited amount of people of color. It was really hard to find research that thoroughly matched what I was looking into, which made this project really challenging. I feel like most information I got was from transgender individuals I chose to interview, and also from my personal accounts. There's so much more I could talk about when it comes to this topic, but not enough information to back it up. Transgender and queer studies themselves are so undervalued, and there's little we know. Only a handful of colleges in the United States have gender studies, only 100 among 5,300 colleges. If this was my own study, if I had more materials, users, structure, and more time for the study, I would dive so much more deeply into this topic and also have a research question. Do cisgender and non-cisgender users have different meanings and purposes when it comes to VR technology? Now, where were we? Oh, how VR helped me. Yeah. It was only a few days into playing, and I was in a world. This world, sitting right here with my friend Star. I told her that she just really hurt. There was a black hole in my chart that just wouldn't go away. I was sad and lost until she said 3 words. How about he?